Hello? Does this mean that it's going? Because it says end stream. So I suppose that means it's going. Welcome to event B in that case. But I thought I had to press something again. So that's working. Is that going through the OBS? No. But now. I see. That will work. But now. All right. Well, that will work. But now. I guess it is broadcasting, you guys. And I need to, I guess, check that. Let's see. YouTube. What do I do? If I go to my channel, it should say if I'm streaming, right? Your channel. Live. Let's see. Does it say it started? Your channel. Yep. Okay. Well, they always change things, don't they? So this is event B. And you can see at the top there we got Discord. Now there's people in the Discord. We haven't really started having conversations per se, but I'd like to build up. There, somebody said, "Hello, beep boop. If you want to invite friends to this server." I have no idea what that is. That's a bot. Dismiss message. Okay. Anyway, I'd like to have people in here. It's conversational, and this is kind of a reboot. So there's a couple of reboots. I mean, one, I've always talked about, philosophical subjects in various, domains, politics and society and everything. Like many of the people that I used to converse with, I would say 7 years or more ago, maybe more like 8 or more. And when YouTube facilitated that. So this kind of went away, and there's a malaise and or a Malay. What is that? How's that pronounced? It doesn't really matter. But I still want to do this. I want to talk to y'all, but I'm not much of a lecturer, as I said in event A. There's things that I think people need to learn, but I'm just not, into creating the lesson plan and stuff. Even in what I do for a living, programming and computer engineering and system architecture, I find the idea of creating like a lesson plan or videos daunting because it's like, how can I make this interesting to people that don't know about it yet? I'd rather just share the information. So I'm more like when it comes to doing something like that, because I do want to give back, it's more like apprenticeship and things like this that interest me. Now, in this case, I'm not looking for apprentices. I'm just sharing ideas. This is the public dialogue. This is our public conversation, and I'm taking part of it, and it's the links to the people that I actually discuss ideas with that are crucial to that. And so, as I'm saying, that's sort of fallen apart. I still want to do this, so this is the latest idea. We're going to have discussions on Discord. People will be welcome to come in. It will be a curated community, but people can come in and try easily, right? No vetting on the way in, but you will be expected to follow, rules of decorum, and you may or may not approve of that, and we're going to develop them as we go along. There's some people in here already. Barklord, Spook. Haven't talked that much about Barklord, so it might be news to him, but Barklord, Spook, and myself, of the people in there so far, I believe it's going to be our responsibility to curate. And if Barklord's like, yeah, I'm going to always abstain, or I don't know what he would say, fine. The point is, I used to have a view of let's figure out a way for the computer to do curation and moderation. Now I think people have to care enough in order to do that. And I think even just with the three of those people I mentioned, and there's other people in there that seem to have interesting takes to offer too, but just those three people show a wide range of ideas and beliefs. Um, I mean, I don't even want to dive into it. That would become the subject if I brought up all those subjects. But we have a wide range of different beliefs. So it's not like we wouldn't want, or not to fob it off on them, I wouldn't want a wide variety of people. I do, from all different kinds of ideologies and whatnot. Um, so it remains to be established what exactly I do expect. And I would simply say it's going to have to do with, one, understanding other people have different positions. There's not going to be any of this, you still believe that, but yesterday I told you you were wrong. Yeah, and the other guy told you what he believed. Just go ahead and assume he still believes it. This kind of thing. We're going to have rhetorical honesty. You can say whatever you want. You can craft narratives. You should. We're trying to get ideas, and you can give them flavor. But you can't try to invalidate other people's ideas to the point where you come in pretending you never heard them before. We're not going to talk for 5 years and you still can't put someone else's idea right in your own words in a way that they would go, "Yep, you got it. That's some." You have to learn other people's ideas. You don't have to agree with them, but that's my basic idea of the curation there. Okay, so another aspect of this is that like I was saying earlier, just like to talk about subjects, um, not about the personal life. And most of the people in that community that I'm thinking of from back in the day, some of us are still here, but the community, the conversation kind of got killed, I would say, when they stopped replies, video replies, but whatever. Um, that community, we don't really talk about, it's not reality TV where, we're doing IRL streaming or something like that. But you do see bits and pieces of people's lives, and over time, certain things become relevant or you pick up. I've had a couple of those things. I remember one of the first ones was just like, I was like 5 years in, and I'm talking about philosophy 5 years in, and I said, oh, I have a philosophy degree from blah, blah, blah. And the reason for that was because I'd spent a lot of time going, well, here's what regular philosophy, mainstream, what they tell you in colleges, says on a subject. Here's my idea. But sometimes I'm discussing other people's ideas relative to, people would think that I was advocating the classical philosophy view because I described it. And people have kind of a simple-minded hang-up where it's like, oh, you described it, you you must believe that. Otherwise, why would you describe it? Well, because we should all be able to describe other people's opinions, in a way that's well enough that that other person could listen to our description and go, yeah, that's a fair description. So the fact that I got a philosophy degree, a BA in philosophy, explains why I think I can say what this other view that I don't have, that, classical or mainstream current philosophy has, what it is. And there's other things too, just major life events, or you have to move from where you're living, or whatever. Certain things come along, and it's like, well, it's relevant to the whole conversation. It's not like a subject that we're going to discuss like we discuss antinatalism or consciousness or the nature of time or physics or any of the infinite things we discuss because we're like in a virtual philosophy department that could just discuss any subject. But it's still, it matters enough that it either comes out because you have to work really hard to hide it. Like when I started my channel, I was like, I didn't even want people to know where I lived in the world. But I wanted to do videos outside, and sure enough, when I did videos outside, people are like, "Ooh, that looks like tropical." They start guessing where you are, and I realized, well, however much I think it's important, traditionally to control your own information, that I don't want to be limited or bounded by that. So, I changed that, and there's all kinds of information that trickles out. And then, sure enough, people over the years can find out who you are if they want. Um, I had a guy who I was disagreeing with over the Trayvon Martin thing. Look up my information, find the Facebook and stuff, reveal this to me. I think to a couple other people, but basically he didn't dox me. And he was like, hey, he contacted me eventually and said, hey, I did this. I found out who you are. And he was real positive about it. It's like, I just like to know who I'm arguing with, and I know I can find out. I'm not going to share it with anybody, and you never did. Except, I mean, I think a couple other people also found out some information. So maybe they just did the same thing actually, because he definitely didn't dox me or anything. And it was kind of like, yeah, if you get even that where you're located, a little bit of information here or there, your first name slips out in you know, your Chrome profile or something. As a matter of fact, is that happening right now? But in a way, it's public information. Some of the things that I haven't shared, even though nobody knows it, hardly anybody knows it. Enough people know it that it's on a few videos here and there or whatever. My name, da 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 da. But I'm 52 years old. Some of that matters a lot less because the fact of the matter is, um, you know, why hide? Yeah, I am who I am. You can track me down. Of course you can. That's the way it is. Fine with me. Um, and in that sense, it reminds me of the whole time I've been watching YouTube, I always appreciated people that did have a little bit of their life, what was going on in their life in it. And I didn't want to do it, and I'm not judging them for sharing it, and I actually appreciated it and considered it a kind of bravery. And I'm not sure everybody is in a position to do it. Some people that probably shouldn't do it, and that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't say I was afraid, and I'm still never going to be that kind of person. But I realize that in terms of if you want your participation in this public dialogue to be useful, giving a certain amount of true information about what's going on in your world is one of the most useful things. When you think of the fact we've been doing this 13 years, and so there were little tiny 5-year-olds that are 20 now, and this is some of the information, or no, they didn't see any of these. And I got a video with 500 views from way back. They've never seen it. Only 500 people have ever watched it, probably less than that. Maybe someone watched it twice, me or something. And so that's 8 year old information. It's historical. I remember when I was younger, and something 8 years ago seems so long. Now it's like if a movie's 8 years old, to me it's still like, yeah, that new movie. Oh yeah, it's not new anymore. So these different perspectives make a very interesting uh, like network of information. And personal true information is useful, and after you're 50 you start being like, well, people are different. I'm like, oh, this is a good time to focus on being useful, saying something useful. um, and it's a reevaluation of values and patterns and practices that I've had, which I still believe in, but I extend on. So I think the point of having live conversation will be that um, that's part of the subject, right? Part of the subject is whatever people are really going through, what they're feeling that makes them have a political idea. And in Illusions Exist, you'll see there's a bunch of channels, and there's a broadcasting voice channel and a broadcasting text, and that's what's showing up on the top of the screen. All right. Anyway, what I was going to discuss today, and I don't know how long, because this would be a really long thing if I went all the way through it, but my songs that I made. So this song we're looking at here is not much of a song. It was an improvisational thing to a video that I made because Piro's nicotine free morning day 2. So this was the second day I had stopped smoking, and it was because when I'd woken up, I had this kind of waking dream. You know, I wake up slowly. I like to do it. If I have to wake up, I'll set an alarm that goes off every 15 minutes for like an hour. Then I'm supposed to get up, and then it goes off for another hour in case I don't get up. In this case, I didn't do that, but you know, I wake up in the early morning. I have these thoughts, and I had this voice of like a Japanese guru, a 101-year-old guru, and he was talking to me about a dragon spirit that had come. And a few days before this, I'd just been meditating a way that I like to do, where, you know, I sit there, you empty your brain, you cross-legged or whatever. You can do mantras or whatever, but you just relax, and all these sparkling images. You have all these thing, you just wait and you calm down, and you let it all go away, and you're supposed to think of nothing. But being a Westerner, I always like to know, once it gets down to nothing, you let a thought go, and you'll see you can have these really, what are they but a daydream, but it's like a night dream in that you're not like writing a story. You just relax, and eventually there's a little, you know, thread of images, and it's okay to look at it. There's just one, you know, and you keep it relaxed, and you can have one. And I had this big long one about a mountain growing, and a dragon egg hatches, and I was captured in a pond, and I was the dragon egg, and all this stuff happened. And then, you know, no doubt psychological explanation. After doing that, you know, in the morning hours when I'm half asleep, I had this audible, you know, and I don't want to call it a hallucination, because I knew it's like seeing a face in the cloud. I interpret things like that when I have an idea, or you hear something like that, you know, in a Japanese accent or whatever, telling you that there's a dragon coming to visit you. That is a fictional idea. It's an idea your brain can come up with. I like writing stories. I can always turn those into like story idea. But what was weird is he also said, hey, if you think about this dragon, you're putting on a dragon suit. And if you flex and feel about it, and again, it was like, oh, it was feathers. Because my original dream that I'd had, or daydream, whatever you want to call it, meditation about dragons, was a European dragon. But then it was like feathers, and it was like, oh, Japanese, it's an Asian dragon. And, you know, you could just feel that. And if you flex your shoulder, you feel all the like feathers going up, you know, like you would if you actually had feathers. And it was like, just think about that. Think about, you know, fitting into that suit, and you won't need to go get cigarettes. And it worked. It worked this day. This was the second day. And mind you, I'm still kind of hearing this vibe and these voices, but, you know, after the original one, it's more like I'm telling myself the stories about it. Like I've got this vision that became a story, and now I'm, you know, doing the work to mythologize it. So, but it's still in the air, right? Now this is July 20th, and my daughter died of an overdose. And my young daughter, as old longtime watchers will know, of drugs supplied by her older sister, on July 24th, so 4 days later. So that's kind of weird. I always thought, you know, after she died, then it was just all crazy time. You know, I didn't go to work for a while, bereavement leave and whatnot, for like a week or 2 weeks, I don't know. And it was just crazy in terms of, you know, these ideas of the dragons and what it all meant and stuff. So I made songs starting 8 months before that. Really amazing period of my life, like bad period. I made a song improv song to Bark Lord, but also Das Spook and Gary are mentioned in there, just for fun late at night. And
Me too.
that was November 28th. So that's like 8 months of 2011. So that's 8 months before my daughter died, right? Now, about 2 months after this, I broke up with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. We'd been together for many 5 or 6 years or something. And we broke up for like 6 months, in the middle of which my daughter passed away. So about half of these songs, when I was making songs, were before that, and about half after. Now, I'm not a musician. I just like music. I like drawing. I like all kinds of things. There's certain things that I do at a professional level, um, where if I had a skill that was below what it needed to be, then I learn it. Hard work it. If it's not doesn't come natural, then you got to do it. You got to complete your skills. But not when it comes to drawing or music. I have always liked playing the piano. I don't like learning other people's songs. I like playing with a piano. Is it a song? I don't know. I think I've written some songs, but my goal is to have fun and be, you know, with it. I find that if you get yourself in a groove, it can feel really good. Does it feel really good just to listen to it? No, not necessarily. So I guess that's not the point. I guess that's why I'm not interested in doing it professionally. But I did have this period of a year, and some of these songs I think are really good. I like to have a lot of echo and overdub, but I think they're good. I think the poems in them are good. And oh, I'm supposed to turn this on when I'm connected to the looking at the. So the thing about doing art, whether you're good or not, is when you look at that art, you will have a really strong recorded memory of what you were thinking. Like if you draw a picture or something or make a song like this, when you look at it years later, you will remember so much clarity about how you felt. Even if you're forgetting, wait, was the car in the garage or was it in the driveway? Or, the details, you will remember how you felt at that time. Even if you forget, if there's songs, or for that matter, even videos, right? Just the videos in general. I'll see videos, sometimes videos pop up when they suggest your own old videos or something, or somebody replies to an old video. They'll pop up, and if you go look at them, if you go watch them, um, it will bring back a memory of what you were thinking that day. You might not remember what year it was if you couldn't look at the date, but you will have this kind of emotive memory. And so when you do this, you can structure things. Because, for example, for yourself, history, you're making a record. I mentioned to a relative that I had this weird experience where I'd done this meditation and then I had a little morning daydream and I stopped smoking for 4 days or whatever. It's like, no, you're probably rewriting memories. How could that happen? And right then and everything. And well, I know it does because here it is. I made a video about it. The titles in this video are. There you go. Yeah, I had to block myself out there because I was nude. It's the only nude video I've ever done. But I didn't let anything get through. So that's in the middle. This first one, now,
Right.
it's not just that. It's not just that
This is the
I made
song
this
from my
song. As
boy,
part of this song in here,
boy.
I mentioned that my stepfather, from when I was a kid, who was my stepfather, well, they didn't get married, but from about 8 until 18, had called me after not talking to him for 20 years. It was very interesting, especially since he'd had a stroke and I'd heard he was incapacitated from it, but he wasn't. And and that's one of the reasons I was up late thinking about stuff and decided to do this. So that started this period. And it's a lot to me like a gate of chaos. Like in 2012, they said, hey, the world's going to end. It's like, I don't think so. But for me, it kind of did. And so there was this gate of chaos, even though it's just metaphorical. And now, if you go through all of these lists, this list I have here, um, is there a way to make this the whole screen?
Yeah.
No, how about, well, this, I guess. All right, so I had such fun. I made a bunch to different YouTubers that I talked to in this group. I was talking about Gray Text, and that's basically about he used to his video used to be of video games, and then it would just be audio dubbed because he didn't have a camera. So the song's that. This is about Gary and going outside and swimming in pools, hitting golf balls and stuff. This is Professor Anton, and who I thought was Professor Rant On, because that's the way the net works. And this was kind of, I redid this later. This was John Paul Dorn, who I talked to, and he was interesting. He was a troll. We ended up talking offline, and he had an interesting philosophy and a troubling story that ended up having a lot of meaning um, in this period of my life that I wish I would have seen coming, as meaningful as it meant to be. There were lots of weird things in Hawaii, for example, about drugs that were, I thought I understood drugs and pot and people do coke and there's meth heads, but I didn't really understand this pill community and how my daughter would succumb to it, and um, and I talked about that stuff to John Paul Dorn, but not about my daughter, about other people and other things. Like he was warning me about uh, I don't want to say Corky. Who is the guy his trolls call him Corky? And how he was being taken advantage of by Peace in Christ Alone, an old religious anti-atheist guy, and um, Nick Bravo, that's who I was thinking of, and to do real estate fraud, which all turned out to be the case, and Nick ended up going to jail for real estate fraud. And how do people fall into this? What's really going on? Again, like I'm talking right now about this, about how this interacted with my real life. Real life is the important part. Now that doesn't mean that my hobby has to be talking about real life. It devolves into high school gossip drama. So you have to regulate that kind of thing. But then again, people's actual difficulties. And, I hope I'm not talking out of school. John Paul Dorn, if you're still around, I would say that I'm characterizing our conversations. There was a lot of detail, a lot of personal stuff. I'm not trying to release anything like that. What I'm saying is you admitted you were kind of a troll. And like one time he made a video, like pretending that a video I had made was a suicide note. I'm worried about he's gonna commit, and it was just a troll. Okay, so kind of funny, kind of annoying, and other things like that. He was an expert concern troll, but he made the justification to me that I believed that he was concerned, right? Like this is a satirical humor thing. No, not to be mean, but out of concern. And yet some of the trolls he did would be considered mean. That was the case I made to him. Anyway, so very interesting thing relevant to this thing. I did one to be curious. Here, the point of this song was, hey, people are mean. What if I was mean to you? Would you be mean back? I don't think so. And, you got to get a thick skin. Well, I would have to say to be curious turned out to be right on that subject. And uh, my theory that people could just get, let's see, when was this? This was um, so March 13, 2012. So she was correct that the conversation could not function well on a principle that people had to get thicker skins. It had to function on a principle of people have to get their shit together, care about facts, have empathy and that kind of thing. But in my defense, um, it wasn't going to happen anyway. But maybe now it can happen. We can learn our lessons. This was interesting. This would be the first song I made that was just a song, like not like a comedy, a novelty song about. Um, well, they're all novelty songs, but it's not a novelty song about our YouTube people.
There's nothing to fear, fear itself. So they say, but it's a pretty new say. There's nothing to prove but proof itself. Yet they still try to sell me something else. There's nothing to say but.
Okay, that's enough of that. Anyway, I like that song. So, because again, I like making music. I still write tons of songs that I've never put up here and that I like and that I play more. I have a couple songs right now. I almost always have a song that I'm working on, and I don't care about reusing chords or anything. I'm not a good musician. My wife's a good musician. My son is a good musician, and her family's good musicians, and so I know good musicians, but I enjoy doing it. I think there's certain things that I figured out. I like the way I structure things. I don't have good fingering musician techniques, but I think I am good with poems, and I think I can structure stuff pretty much the way I want. And since I like spacey sounds, that gave me a lot of freedom. So again, just going through this, like reminds me of Life Point. So I talked about Conference Port. That was about my theory that confusion is where all knowledge comes from, and he's confusing. So I did that. Karma is another song where I was just screwing around. I like make spacey, mellow trip kind of music. That's like that. I won't listen to much of this, but that's it. See what I mean? Like spacey or like Mellium, Mo, Trombo. Okay. What else? Just shooting through, and I started making other songs just on ideas. Because, like I said, I've always, since I was a little kid and had a little tiny, piano keyboard with 40 keys or whatever, a little 2-octave one. I like to play with them. So I'm doing that, and I'm starting to think this is good to publish these, and I'm publishing them. And like one guy, because I spent a lot of time arguing about Trayvon Martin, my daughter had turned me on to when that story was happening. This guy made a thing with the Animal Sky Pilot, and he photoshopped it. He photoshopped me and Trayvon Martin because Trayvon Martin. The thing is, people that were saying he was a good boy, wanted to become a pilot. So I covered this. Look, 8 down boats and 9 up. This is low time. Never, ever, ever reach the sky. So I was having a lot of fun with this. This is Red Riding Hood and Holly Jolly Christmas. Okay, so now we're getting to things are out of order. This was after my bereavement, right? I was sitting out on this porch playing this guitar and smoking cigarettes and not doing anything else really. Just depressed. And basically I was depressed for the 8 years between then and now. But getting better, but mixture of depression and PTSD kind of symptoms. Nothing diagnosable because, I guess I'm keeping my shit together. Trying not to freak out on the world, so then it doesn't count. But you'll see this is August, so was after. Now, the first song after is this. So these two were uploaded after, but recorded right before. And they're about that dragon vision. right? Both of these songs, there was supposed to be three. See, Song or You version 1 of Pi. That was supposed to be in 1 of 3. Part Blue 2 of Triangle, which means 3. I was going to make a third one, and then my daughter died. And so they're both out of the same thing that my ex-girlfriend at the
Ready?
time, yep, who's now my wife, had recorded. So we were out on that porch. You just saw at night. She recorded the guitar part. So you can hear the guitar part. I did the drum and other sounds as it's going through there, and I sang a poem over it, and then I sang a poem over it again, but with different drums and stuff. And and that was it. And then we also made a revamp of Becoming Professor Anton, because I thought the first one was so drunken and just was kind of disrespectful. And I didn't mean it as disrespect. There's maybe some shade in there, but I meant it not that way. But anyway, so we redid it, and I uploaded this um, after, but it was for 4. And then this song with Plane is about my trip with my older daughter, taking her to rehab at a super fancy, expensive rehab place for minors in Malibu. And we had to fly across. Well, how could we have had to fly? I guess, yeah, it was in Honolulu that we got really delayed with rain, and it was just, so like in the song, I'm really mad about waiting for the delayed plane, but that's not what I'm mad about. And then here, Stanford, this is a friend we had in Hilo. We sang a song for June. And then I kept making songs, and they're all about abstract things at that point. But they all remind me of things. Okay? Dig a Ditch, I was just thinking about, middlemen. Fine, just like I do. Waiting Away, that day, um, sitting out on that porch all that time, just almost 24 hours a day. One of my neighbors thought I was spying on him because I'm looking out over the ocean from where you could see the ocean and the airport, because it was up on a hill above Hilo. And my neighbor down there thought I was spying on him. I was up there just until late at night, just sitting out there. Even when I went back to work, then I'd go out there when I got home, and I'd just sit there and I'd think and be sad, but not just sad, just thinking about things, reading the paper, whatever, playing the guitar. I got some Beatle books. I was practicing Beatle songs, which is why I had that one. And this was when I think I can live. I think I can make it through this. Though I wasn't really sure. I mean, the next day I didn't feel that way. But I mean, this was a recorded moment of when I felt like, hey, I guess this weird shit can work.
I feel strange. I won't explain myself today. I changed. I can retrain myself, okay.
So this little poem is exactly about, wow, today I had a weird thing and my attitude changed. I guess I can retrain myself. And people say I think too much, but I think they're fucking crazy. They don't think enough, but whatever, it's okay. And I had that kind of a feeling. And the poem kind of captures the feeling, but it doesn't matter if it actually captures it, right? Because when you record it, you'll remember the feeling. And those words, whether they would click for someone else, like with a real artist, they make those words and it clicks with someone else. Does it really give that other person the same feeling they had? Well, I guess if they're a really great artist, that's what you're kind of thinking. But sometimes no. Sometimes it's a different feeling, but those words sound so great, it makes everybody have a million feelings. But they're all different. None of that matters when you're making art for yourself. And by publishing it and recording it out there and putting a date on it, there's a feedback quality to it that's really useful. Things turn out this way. Well, this is a song about breaking up with my girlfriend. And so at this point, September, I don't know, 4 months apart, and we were still friends, and she was still around, and she was devastated too by June, and we still knew each other. And I just wrote this song about I was always going to love her in the past. Like, hey, in the past, we were in love, and the past still exists back there in the past. We can't go there, but you know what? In the past, I'm going to love you forever. Forever there is this time that I'm going to love you. And it also, it struck a chord with her, I think. And she disinterpreted it as loving you in the past and interpreted it as I will love you forever into the future, which I'd kind of hoped that she would notice this. Because also when we were broke up, but earlier, I made this song with, what was her name? Existentialist Cat. She had done this recording of David Bowie's Space Oddity, and I did an accompaniment to it. And I do remember when I did this. I did it because I liked Existentialist Cat was putting up a piece of music, and I thought just piano and vocal, that, let's do internet accompaniment. I might not be a good musician, but we could. This is internet, which is a popular thing now. Um, but also my my girlfriend at the time, now wife, being a musician, I always thought maybe she'd want to, like, hey, I shouldn't let this guy go because then he could collaborate with me or whatever. And I think that worked. And this other one, the same kind of thing. But I wasn't thinking we'd get back together, but it was thinking about her. And I hope she'd think about it. And I actually think it's one of the reasons we got back together because of this. Where'd it go? Things turn out this way. And so after that, I made a bunch more, and some I really like this one about Snake Plisskenist, who's back on YouTube's gone through a lot since I wrote that. I think that stood the test of time. Um, this Protostar, which is from an old poem and whatnot, like that one. Um, Cosmic Zen died. Made a song with him, a simple song, and I like being able to remember how I felt about that guy and the fact that he probably just died because we didn't have national health care. The one thing I have in here that isn't a song is, and it's out of order chronologically, is I let him and him use my channel. If you watch that, you'll see how much right I've had about him. So anyway, when you do art, it's for yourself. And you will record more than what you've written down. Because when you yourself read what you've written down, or listen to it, or, ogle it with your eyes, your memory banks will reconfigure. And it's like you can teleport and remember so much clearly. And if you really think about it, if you think of a time in your life and go, how did I feel when that happened? You don't remember what it was like to feel like. It's very rare. Well, I remember how I felt when Kennedy died. Yeah, it's things that imprint themselves. But if you have any feeling at all and you're artistic, you can craft an artifact of art. And when you experience that and see that and touch that little statue or whatever it is you've made, those feelings will come back and you'll remember exactly how you feel. And if you can remember how you felt throughout your life and different experiences, you're going to empower yourself. So that's the message from Event B. And I forgot to check if people were chatting or anything. I mean, they would have come up on the screen if they go in Discord. So in Discord, you could use this one, which you have to type in, or there's one you can just click on. If the one that you click on down there is all used up, then you can type in that one, you see. So I have both of them as a backup. And when that one is dead, people will tell me, and I'll put a new one down there. So, or I might not, because, who knows how we're going to do it. When the gates are open, when they're open, when they're closed, they're closed. So, what was I going to check? Oh, yeah. So, well, there's this one chap, Marcus. Hi, Marcus. They are YT Classics. I have no idea when you I have no idea when you type that. Oh, Dynacats. What do you mean art tech? Meh. Yeah. Well, there's going to be a lot of subjects that it doesn't matter what the subject is, because the point is I'm opening the room and advertising the link. And the point I'm being pretty clear about is that, okay, I have the ability to just say some stuff that I want to say, but it's not like in the old days. So it's going to be even who knows how meaningless. Mostly what I'm planning to do is what I did last time is just watch videos, not my videos, but other videos and whatnot. And because I watch videos already, so I can watch and react and comment on them. But mostly it's just to open this up because Dynacat loves you. I like the regular conversations. Um, Stick them, hangouts. I want to have those conversations. You used to be able to do it in a great way with video replies, and anybody could make a video reply site and it would work again. And we wouldn't need millions of people, just that software, and we could collect the conversation. But it doesn't work right now. So it won't always be art talk, is what I'm saying. But I think it's an interesting thing. It just happens to be what I was thinking about with I was watching a couple of my songs and I realized, Jesus, this was parentheses around a period of my life, chaotic and terrible things, and also 2012, like a gate of fucking shit opened up, and now, in the 8 years later, I hope the gates are closing. I don't know. Um, but for me, it's been 8 years of dealing with an emotional situation, right? I just worked really hard, 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 and so I've been able to survive in a material way fine, and that is how I emotionally coped. But when I try to figure out what I've been through, looking back and realizing, geez, I was just trying to survive, um, and thinking how long 6 or 8 years is for a young person, 25 or even 35-year-old person, that seems it's not as long a period. It doesn't seem as long once you're 52. But it's a long enough that you can't really remember how you felt just by going, oh, here's what I went through, and writing down what you think you went through. But if you created little sketches, Gary does it, like, you don't have to be professional, good in any way. You try to please yourself. And then as long as you don't hate that thing, um, when you look at it, you're going to have stored feelings in it. Like it's a hard drive for things that actually can only be stored in neurons. But if you don't make the artifact, the neurons have trouble storing it. So you're storing it outside the body, but it's obviously, not everybody's going to get that idea from looking at it. So I think it's a pretty beneficial thing to do. Really, did he? Dynacat Loves Me says, Trump said today that he won't concede if the Electoral College confirms Biden. I took a day off until this evening. I came down, played some games, and decided to make a video. I haven't watched any news. So, well, it looks like when he called into that legislative session at the Wyndham, uh, yeah, he's talking like he's going to hold on, but what's he expect to do now? I kind of am past worrying that he'll try to use any, cops or military or anything because uh, I don't see how he could possibly do that now with the whole court thing being so weak. So if you ever come in and talk, we could talk about actual important things like politics. Dynacat loves me. And God bless Dynacat, by the way. R.I.P. There you go, too. Just in your handle, I never met Dynacat, but I have a tiny spot of heart emoji for her. Like seriously, partly because I love all animals. So just hearing about animals enough. Well, I could feel like you loved it, Dynacat, and it's important to be loved by Dynacat, and that's lovable. Yeah, Dynacat loves you. I mean, I think I totally get what you're saying, but I'd love to talk to you about it because I think that's what making a little cartoon or something does when I've had bad emotional things. Like I took up a cartooning at one point in my life where I'm like, I got to put this into a cartoon. That's how I can help this not eat me up. I will project it into silly jokes or whatever. And it worked, even though none of the cartoons were that good, and I never mastered cartooning the way I wanted. But so I'm wondering, like, how do you attack those emotions? Because I kind of feel like making a bit of just amateur art that you put your heart into, right? So you like it, but it doesn't have to be good in any objective or shared objective, share what other people would think. It just tags things with an emotion. So that's kind of like a way to do that. I think Trump has gone too far. I think he's leading his followers to the slaughter, and he's going to have legal problems. And if they do let him off legally, that's not going to happen if he like makes a big stink. I think. I don't know. He might really feel entitled in a way that I don't think he understands. Because people do. Even presidents have gotten in trouble and stuff. It's not totally off the table in our society. So we can only hope. All right, I'm going to take off. This has been a long time. Um, how long has it been? Like probably an hour. Yep. Okay, good. That's what I want to do. Now, in the old days when I did my Sunday, should have been 50 minutes, I guess. In the old days when I did the Sunday show, you guys, um, I found you had to wait a half an hour to an hour, even though I did it at a regular time. So doing it at a random time like this, that's not necessarily enough, especially midnight East Coast on a Thanksgiving. And I didn't think anybody would come. But even the point is, even if I did it at a regular time, it took an hour, a half an hour to collect people, and then we go for 6, 5, 8 hours, whatever. It's sustainable. So that's fine. I'm not going to fight that. So I might choose a time Saturday. I was going to do Sunday, but then with time zones and stuff in Europe and the fact that I can't be up late Sundays anymore, maybe Saturday. I'm 52. I can do it on a Saturday. Um, so even then, I think it'll have to go for an hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put videos aside or whatever, or ideas, things that I might watch or do for an hour. And I'm just going to share me browsing the internet for an hour as leader in to get people into this Discord to discuss. And when you do that, assuming the audio all works, it's all supposed to work, then you can interrupt me and we will discuss whatever subject you want. And that's the way it will be until there's so many people that we choose another way. All right, cheers. And I hope everybody had a Thanksgiving, but if you don't feel very thankful, don't let anybody guilt you into that. You got to be thankful stuff sometimes. What you got to be thankful for is that it's time to make plans. Time to make plans to change things. So, cheers to all of you, and may all of your mantras calm your heart and bring adoration to your deepest stomach muscles. I'm sure that did make sense. You're wrong. That did make sense. You just don't know what I was getting at. Okay, bye.